Hello, and welcome to a brand new artist talk with 934 Gallery. My name is Johnny Riddle. I'm the executive director here, and today I am honored to welcome our August exhibiting artist, Holly Wilson, and talk a little bit about her installation, one that's actually sitting right behind me, Attractive Nuisances. And before we get started, just give you a little bit of information about the gallery. We are 100% volunteer run, not-for-profit art gallery and performance space in the Milo Grogan neighborhood of Columbus, Ohio. So if you are interested in seeing the work, making a purchase, or booking an appointment to see it in person, go to 934gallery.org for more information. And now I'd like to introduce Holly Wilson. How you doing, Holly?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really well. We have had a busy few weeks here, but we've had a lot of great attention and a lot of guests who've gotten to experience your exhibition. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about it and give some of the guests a little more insight into your work and you even.
Yeah.
So I guess first off, Holly, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm actually originally from Columbus, Ohio. I've always kind of been interested in art and music, but anyways, I went to school. I had all intentions of going to school for graphic design. I went to like the career center when I was in high school for graphic design, but I ended up changing my mind when they had that go to work day where you go this is what your job might be. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm like, this looks kind of boring. So anyways, I went to, my first 2 years of college were at Pratt William Proctor in Utica, New York. At the time, I felt like it was important for me to leave Ohio just because I wanted to put myself, kind of go outside of my comfort zone, go to a place where I have no idea where anybody is that I know, you know what I mean? Just kind of like throw myself in there. And so they might have changed it now since I've been in school, I guess. They do like the foundation year and they make you take like painting, drawing, 2D design, 3D, all that stuff, art history. So during my first year at Pratt William Proctor's, I really fell in love with sculpture. I guess I'd always thought sculpture, was like more ceramics or like bronze statues, and obviously like I love Chihuly and stuff like that when I was a kid, but I had no idea until I went to art school and I started learning about all these like artist movements like Dada and Flux and how like all these different things could be art. And I guess sculpture was my favorite because it was like it literally could be anything, like, and that just really excited me. I was like, I don't like the restrictions. Like I was already kind of leaning out of graphic design. I was like, it's just so restrictive. I have to do it this like company once and work with a team of like people. And the thing I might be doing is just like picking a color. And I was like, that's really boring to me. So, it was 3D design class really did it for me. They were like, had us kind of, one of the things was like, okay, you gotta save all your trash and create a piece out of it. I was like learning how to rivet stuff, use a jigsaw, kind of like, I was like, wow, like you can just bolt things together to create these forms. And it was just like, it was so exciting to me because it's like, you always think everyone's perception of sculpture when they're young is like, okay, it's clay or it's metal, wood. You don't think until you're like, until you see it and you realize it's like, it really can be anything. And so it was just so exciting to me to like, go on these like collecting missions and try to like make stuff with what I had. And then I learned how to do welding, and that was really exciting to just be able to like make these things really quick. And like it also just felt really awesome to like learn a skill like that, like something that I never thought I would end up being like someone that would be a welder. And it just worked for me. So then after that, I did 2 years at Pratt William Proctor, but most people that go there, you're supposed to transition into Pratt Brooklyn. I didn't end up doing that because it was just more like I ended up applying to other schools because I wanted to get a better financial aid deal. And Syracuse University, my professor was telling me how great it was. She did her master's there, all this stuff, and I liked it. It seemed like an interesting place, and it was still close to like the area I had been in, but it was just totally different. And at the time I'm like not a big sports person, so I didn't even realize Syracuse was like this whole brand name school.
Yeah.
But whatever. So they gave me like a really great financial deal because my work became really strong during those first 2 years at Pratt. I had like my own thing going, and so I ended up there and I learned a lot. It was definitely very different, more like rather than projects, you have to kind of be on your own thing. Like obviously there were projects, but it was more like developing your own ideas. Like what sets you apart as an artist is you're not just completing an assignment. One assignment though that did really help me I think it's funny to think of it, like one of the first things we had to do when we get there was my professor made us create 70 sculptures in a week.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember everybody was like, oh my God, like, how do you do this? Like freaking out. And I just started like, and they could be any size or whatever, but it was a really fun challenge for me. And I was like one of the few people that actually made it to 70. And it kind of got me into this weird, like this like collection thing. Like I just started like screwing stuff to stuff and like collaging on it. And it was just exciting. Like I wouldn't say it was like my best work, but just that sort of like challenge of like, can you make 70 things in 6 days? And then you have also all your other classes going on at the same time. This was only for one class, so it was cool. And then I graduated Syracuse, and my best friend in the sculpture department, we ended up finding, we really wanted a studio, and we also too like we're like, if we stay in Syracuse, we're still like in with people there, so there was like we might be able to pay them to use the shop if we wanted to like weld or whatever. But anyway, so we found this, my mom actually found this space on Craigslist. It was an old frame shop, and then with apartments above it. And it was like pretty affordable for like is saying, you know, to have your own studio and a living space, because everything else I was looking at was like, you'd have to pay like full rent separately. And it was just impossible, like coming right out of school. You don't have any money. So we moved in here and we transformed the space into like kind of like a New York City gallery, or like kind of like 934. Like we put drywall in, beautiful floors, like got it all nice and white and like crisp. And yeah, and then that's how the gallery was born, I guess. Now there's like a whole back, this is where I'm at now, is the back of the gallery. This is my studio. And then it goes further back. But yeah, so now that friend moved away, so I just run the gallery myself. And it's cool. It's a mix of like, I use it for my own work, or I share, like other artists can rent the space. Before COVID-19, we would do like concerts and all kinds of things. So that will be coming back when the world's back to normal again. And yeah, it's just sort of like a fun space. And then I live upstairs, so it's cool like that.
Oh, that's amazing. That has to be,
Yeah.
that must allow you to have such like creative freedom to have your space downstairs that at any point when it hits, you can go right into your studio.
Yeah, because you don't have that like, oh, I gotta drive here or take a bus or whatever. It's like you're just like, I just go downstairs. Like if I want to wake up at like, if I can't sleep, I'm like, okay, I'll just come down here, whatever. Then it's nice too, because I call it my art palace, because it's just this huge building. It's all my stuff now that I don't live with anybody. So it's like, I can listen to music very loud. Nobody's gonna say anything. It's just sort of like fun.
You also don't blend your studio style with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. It was tricky when I had a roommate before. It was, there's like, we love each other still, but yeah, there were definitely some like, Holly, you have too much stuff. Like,
and it's everywhere.
It's usually not this messy in here, but I'm just, I'm gonna blame quarantine.
I think that we have the ability to do that with a lot of things.
Like, I've just been in here meddling, I've been getting the stuff ready for 934, and then it all happened, and now I'm like, don't feel like cleaning it up just yet, so we'll see.
Well, I mean, given that you're out of state, I think that we got very lucky with having the ability to still have an in-person exhibition, given that you're in New York. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but at least it looked like the timing was right. And
Yeah.
as everyone can see behind me, it turned out amazing.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with it. And I think that maybe, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have a pandemic, but I think that I like that it inspired, like, sort of thing, like, and I, providing experience, and it was able to happen. There wasn't like, there wasn't a lockdown to the point where I couldn't leave. So, yeah, it all worked out well.
Situationally, it added to this installation thematically, didn't it?
Yeah, so I have sort of been going on this idea where I want to create a whole apartment. So, because it's kind of funny, because the last time I showed at 934 Gallery, I like was like in all the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so like caught up in all this coronavirus and just like the stress of it all that I like didn't fully read the email. And so this whole time I thought I was going to be filling like every single room, and I was like freaking out. And I was going to be like, I'm like, what about the living room? I haven't made anything for the living room yet. And I'm just like, I don't know, but whatever. So I ended up going for a quarantine bedroom. And it was just, it really like kind of spoke to me, just like the whole hoarding thing. Like, I know, like, right when everything went down, it was just like, it's like, you don't want to say it's laughable, but it is like everybody just going out and buying all the toilet paper and the sanitizer, and like you got to buy all the dry goods, and now it's ration. And so it's sort of like, it's like funny. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I'm kind of a hoarder already. So like I would always make this joke, like, I'm so prepared, guys, even though like I probably should have bought more toilet paper. I don't know, whatever. But it was just kind of funny. It's like everyone was like, these damn hoarders. And I'm like, well, I've got everything I need for the apocalypse, I think. But as far as like Attractive Nuisances eventually will become the whole apartment. Like, I think I'm going to do it in parts as I grow the installation. So, but I decided to focus on the bedroom just because it's like this, I feel like some people, or at least me, it's like when you're mad or upset, there's just something nice about like just being in your bed and like just being like I don't want to get up, I don't want to do this. So it kind of like, I was like, I'm going to turn it into a quarantine bedroom. So everything you would need to be in your bedroom is there. And then it's all fit to go ready on Instagram and Facebook Live, right? Because you've got all your gadgets to get ready. Like you can sit there and like everything works for you. Like they're supposed to be almost like tools of like, you've got your phone holder, you've got your makeup brush, you've got all the like things to clip your nails or brush your teeth. It's like these machines that are just like ready to come in and do these things for you, so then you can present yourself to the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
And it doesn't always have to be the internet, but just because it was pandemic time, I was like, it is funny. It's like, we're not gonna go on our Instagram Live and like, look all like crap and depressed. Everyone's gonna be doing these Zoom things, and they're gonna be like, wow, look at how this is my quarantine. Like, look at this, So it's like,
quarantine.
Yeah.
No, I think that honestly that really turned up the intensity of what you were creating in here. Is that everybody's living in this very isolated situation as it is. And I think that it is perfect. And utilizing this installation gallery with somewhat of a confined space, it creates that uncomfortable claustrophobia that I think that we're all experiencing when we are staying indoors for the vast
Mm-hmm.
majority of our time.
Yeah, I agree. It's like like when they started, closing more and more stuff, actually, like right when it started, I was under the impression, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be back at work at 2 weeks. I'm like, this is just some like whatever. I had no idea it was going to turn into this thing. Some people were like, oh, we're not going to be back to, I was like, I'm not believing that. But like, look where we are now. But it's like, it's just kind of weird, and it's like you want everything there because you don't want to go out into the outside world, because it's like, first off, it's like kind of depressing. Like at first it's like, okay, everybody's walking around with masks on, there's like this girl like crying in the parking lot to her boyfriend because everything's so weird, it just doesn't feel right, especially right in the beginning. So I was like, what if I like create this perfect oasis? And then so one of the new pieces I made is the one that's right above you, the Sputnik transmitter. So that, I was like, when I was making that one, I was like thinking it's almost like this thing that's like collecting like signals like out in the world, and like this is like powering all of this Wi-Fi, but also kind of like warning us like what are you doing, just kind of like floating ahead, because I don't know if some of the, it's something I think has been weird how everyone's been so isolated, and like we're all like on Facebook and Instagram, and it's all like, I just feel like we're kind of like up each other's, like in each other's faces with like the phone, and we're just like, hey, what are you doing? Are you doing everything you should be? Like, you're being good, right? Like, respect, like, it's like all these things. So that, to me, the transmitter piece, it's like sort of like that, like everybody's always watching and waiting for you, like to like post or what you're doing, or, oh my gosh, she maybe is social distancing as much as she should. Like, why are you at? I know I got messages right when the this like junk store I like to go to opened, and they also sell like essentials or whatever.
Yeah.
They I made like a video, and I was getting like some messages. They're like, oh my god, that's so unsafe. And I was like, oh, you mean because the boxes are gonna fall on me? Like, I don't know. So I was just kind of weird, like this whole, like the transmitter, it's like always around, it's always like giving you signals, like, and it's like you want to be ready in your bed with all your tools, but then also it's like this almost like lurking above you at all times, because you're just like glued into the algorithm. I always tell my friend, people get upset, and I'm like, don't get caught up in the algorithm of it all. Like, it's all gonna be all right. Like, and then you see like another thing that I was thinking too is you'd see people, these like clips of people online like freaking out in the stores over like masks or whatever it be, and like throwing down all the displays and being mean. And I'm like, these people are acting like they're in Facebook in real life. And so I kind of like that the installation, it's sort of like kind of like, I want it to be weird, like you're in like a media zone, but it's like, is this really what we want? Like, is this the dream, or is this just like a weird quarantine room that seems attractive, but it's actually like I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but yeah, that's kind of like what I was going through my head as I'm doing these things.
Well, I feel like what you were talking about, people throwing these tantrums.
Yeah.
The internet and social media has created this, the power that they felt with anonymity has now gone to their ability to translate it in.
Yeah, it's like
never
it's like,
before.
I don't want to blame these people, because it's like, okay, you don't know what they're going through at home, or like, it's a lot. Like, maybe at times I wanted to be the person that freaks out in the store, but I was just like, whatever, I'll just leave. Like, I'm like, I don't try not to make a big deal out of things, but it's like you're like, holy shit, man, they're like acting. It's like Facebook is becoming reality, and it's sort of like this weird blur of like, like, are you, I don't know. It's getting better now that we can at least like go out and do something. So, but yeah, for a minute there, it felt like everybody's all in your face. And that's why I was like having all these like arms coming off with like tools, and you know, a transmitter that's like roaming around the room.
Now, you said this was one of your new pieces.
This is one that's one that I've created like within the last couple of months. A lot of the other sculptures are sort of like an accumulation of things, and I'm always changing them and modifying them. So the bed, I did an artist residency a couple years ago, or yeah, I'm like losing track of time. I think in 2018 or 2017, I did an artist residency at Sculpture Space in Utica, New York. Okay. So this was like after I graduated. I got into this residency, and it's like 2 months, and you get to live there and work with like other artists. So there was like a few other artists in like a huge shop, and there was like a shop technician named George, and he would like help you there and like teach you how to use like you know, help you with the welders or any hands you needed, give you suggestions. Like, so that was where the beginning of the bed piece became. I went to a thrift store or the flea market or something, and I found so on the bed, like the shiny part, the part that's like, you know, with like the little balls on top, the finial things. So that is a found object, but then everything else is all stuff that I fabricated myself and retrofit to this like found object.
That's wonderful.
So like coming out the bottoms of the bed frame, that is steel pipe that I bought. I had to match it up to the diameter, and then I had to like take a hammer and like, you know, fit it into these things, drill holes and bolt it. And then I had to weld like phalanges on it too, like, so then that way it had more sturdiness, because you don't, I mean, I never really built it with the intention to like get in the bed, but I was like, if I'm going to go through all this, I might as well just try to make it strong enough to do that. And then it was like, because at first I was going to buy a hospital bed, but they were just so expensive. And I was like, I could just make one, like,
yeah,
you know, and I had the welder. And so it's like all steel. And then like each part with all the parts coming off of it, like it's a combination of like steel, different size steel rod, and then like found objects, and then all unbolts apart so that I could fit it in my van and go take it to show at galleries. Because, you know, that's one thing I learned in sculpture school or art school, is you have to be able to take, at least for me, if you can't take it anywhere, there's no point in making the work, because then it's never gonna make it out of the studio.
Yeah.
And not every gallery space has huge garage doors that you could like wheel in and out of. So
something we're proud of.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, it would work for you guys, but still, I wouldn't be able to fit it in my car. I'd have to rent a huge U-Haul and like do all this stuff. And it's like I want to avoid that, especially like who would have known how expensive it is to rent that stuff right now because of coronavirus and stuff. So, what else?
Well, I was going to ask, which was your first piece in this whole installation? Where did it start?
It's the what is the one? Compulsory psyche. Basically, that piece, I found this. I'm like really obsessed with like vintage vanity objects, like these things that they would advertise to women and men. I guess I always tend to go towards the more feminine stuff, I guess, because I'm a girl and I like makeup or whatever, and you know, I feed into the beauty hacks or whatever you want to call it. So I found this vintage face steamer, and I wish I had here, hold on. So I found this at the market, so I'll hold this up here.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Right? Okay. So and mine's not blue, mine's pink, but it's like I found that and I was like, oh my god, like that would make such a cool sculpture. Like it's like it was like perfect. It's like your skin, your beauty, the lady on the box, it's like, and then they come with like these instruction manuals of like tips and tricks and whatever. And so sometimes for me, when I'm starting a piece, it's like, I'll find an object, and that object, I'll just know like that I need to make something out of this, that it just like, and it was that one, definitely sort of, like I've always kind of been gone for this thing, but I don't know, something about that, it was just such a unique thing, and then I just created it, and that was the first one of the series, I guess. You know, and there's like little shavers on there, like makeup.
Yeah.
So it was just sort of like this thing, like you start here, you steam your face, your pores are good, you go around, you might shave your eyebrow, I don't know, and then you can like finish off with the makeup. So it was like, yeah. So that was the first one.
I love these. I love the concept of these catch-all machines.
Mm-hmm.
Very much, and we had this conversation before the artist talk about this very like 1950s home of the future meets
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. You said
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that movie, Brazil.
But it has that dystopian surrealist
Mm-hmm.
to it it just makes this such an impactful installation. Now, so you created that as the first piece. When was the moment that you realized that this was going to be a series that would possibly lead into a full-on installation?
Well, I'm trying to, so it was like the first thing I made when I was at Sculpture Space, and I just like, I knew when I was there that I wanted to start this ongoing series, and it was just, I guess, sort of like, maybe at the time I was sort of lacking confidence, and it was like the idea of these catch-all machines, but then I would also like hate on it, you know, just like hate on like all this, like, oh, well, you got to do this to feel great, you know, use this product, and it was just like kind of annoying. Like, it's like I want to feed into it, but then at the same time I'm like, this is weird. So that I think that's why I kind of go for that like dystopian, like everything's melting, and like it's like, it might work, but it's also like a little janky, like, you know, like it's a little like, do I really want to put my face in this? Like, I don't know, probably not. Like, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So it just kind of, I just was like, I kept finding, and then I just made it like, I went all over like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, and I would try to find like weird vanity objects, and like just reading these pamphlets. I don't know, you know, I'm sure people watching this video probably are into things like, you know, antiquing and stuff. It's like they come with these little booklets, and like everybody's so happy, and there's all these instructions, and it's like kind of, it's just funny, and it's the same thing as we have today. I just, something about, I like using the stuff from the past, because then it's almost like a reminder, like nostalgia. And then just also like a reminder too, just as we are now in 2020, back in the 1950s, how obsessed people were with, like, you know, trying to live the perfect life.
Yeah.
And all these things that are sort of sold to us as these things that we need to keep up or to feel good inside.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then so that's why it's like I started with something almost more like, I feel like the compulsory psyche piece, the one with the face steamer, it's more lighthearted, whereas the bed is like darker. So it's sort of like I started a little lighthearted, and then it gets like a little darker and like kind of like weirder. Another one, the automatic fantastic, I was like thinking about just how, like, you know, I always want to buy all this jewelry, and you just like buy, and then when it comes to actually wear it, it's like all in this like jumbled, it's the one right to the right of here, yeah, that one, sort of like all jumbled together, you don't really know. So it's like, I was like, this is your, like, you're listening to music because it's like a record player, but then all your stuff is there, you know, you're like a perfume jewelry station, so like the finishing touch. And then I just imagine like myself like going in and like, you know, you switch the switch, you turn on your music, you know, like spritz yourself. But yeah.
Sounds pretty nice.
So yeah, I kind of started with that piece, and then it kind of like, I've been working since that residency at Sculpture Space. I feel like I've kind of gone with the same sort of theme the last couple years. I just keep building it and building it. And I kind of like, I get really busy, and sometimes I have a period of time where I'm not like making work every day as much as I'd like to. So sometimes it takes a longer amount of time. But what's nice is with these kind of sculptures I make, like I don't know if you noticed, the bed actually is different than the picture I originally sent you, just like certain things of it. So as time goes on, I will change it like based on like what I have, or yeah.
For reference.
So yeah, you can kind of see it's different. It's like I made it a little like, especially underneath the bed was more like supposed to be like this kind of like weird dream zone where you're like you're asleep, but then you're actually under there like watching the TV and whatever. But yeah, and then eventually I'll have, I want to make like a closet sculpture. I think that's like a closet sculpture. And then I'm like really obsessed with how sort of the news media and even just like magazines and stuff, how everybody just tells you how to think. And so like I'm making this thing, it's called a gossip bench. It's like, I guess back in the day when people had rotary phones and you don't have your cell phone where you can walk around, you'd sit at your gossip bench and you'd have like your place for your books, and your phone would be there and you would chill. So that's gonna be turned into, I have this thing where I'm like really obsessed with satellite dishes. That piece unfortunately didn't fit in the room at 934, but I have like this piece where there's like a bunch of satellite dishes coming out, and I've been waiting. My neighbors had like 8 satellites. They had 6 satellites on top of their building, and I've just for years I've been thinking, I'm like, man, the day they take those down, they're gonna be mine. And then just recently during quarantine, they were there. So I have like I have 4 satellites sitting right here. Let's see if you can you kind of see the little pile there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, those are going to be involved with the gossip bench somehow. And there's going to be like cameras, because we were talking about earlier, just sort of that sense of like, I just always feel like everyone's watching. Like it's like, but you're also like, if you don't keep up too, you're also like kind of like, it's almost like committing like social suicide. Like you're like not participating, and it's like a really weird feeling. And I think that it's just the whole like being isolated has made it even, at least for me, it's been a little crazier. I had to unplug for a while, but then I want to plug in because I want to keep up with these things because it helps fuel my artwork. So yeah. But yeah, so now I'm gonna make a whole piece about that.
I like the idea of that gossip bench because it kind of, with the cameras and the satellite, it has almost this anachronistic technology and obsession with being connected with everybody that is so rampant now, but with that dated technology. I love.
It's like I want the reminder, like a lot of this work too. It's like the whole nostalgia thing has sort of taken a whole new motive for me. Like I was always kind of like, I've always been obsessed with just old things, and I think that's just me. But then also it's like this obsession with the past, like this, like, you look at how I was watching this video of how refrigerators were built back in the 1950s and just how much better it was. It was all quality steel. You had instruction details that were designed by an artist that were printed probably by hand, and like you know what I mean? It's like just all this effort. Like it's crazy. Like, and it's like I like the like taking these modern ideas, but then remembering how things used to be. Like how these things like were. It was. I just sometimes when I look at these things, it just seems like there was so much more effort that went in, rather than just designing an object that is quick to make and easy, and okay, if it breaks on them in like a few years, 5 years, they can just buy the next new model.
I think our need for constant consumption has led to that. I mean, you see it in fast fashion. You see it in everything being at your hands.
Even just the iPhone. People go out and buy the new iPhone every time it comes out. Why? I don't know. I try to make mine last, but it's like things like that are kind of silly to me. It's like everyone's just waiting for the next model to come out, and like it's not that that's entirely bad, but it's like it's something is inspiring to look at how these things were made back then. And like a lot of these things, sometimes I find, until I destroy them to put them in my art, they'll still work sometimes, you know, like it's a real object. It's not like it's just like, oh, it just stopped working when you plug it in. And I want also now more than ever, I think it's important to be reminded of how things were in the past, so then that way we can, you know, make the right decisions as we go forward with all this. Just how everything's becoming more digital and contactless and all that stuff. So, yeah. No. I forget what the question was, but.
Well, I think that we may have moved beyond that question, and we started talking about bigger issues, bigger things that are affecting all of us, and that are larger conversations. But no, I appreciate that, and it kind of leads me into something that, as I was, you know, reading your statement, and we've gotten to know each other over the last couple months, as we are talking about some of these issues, and you know, we want to look back at the past as we move forward, especially in this very weird new normal. Do you think that your pieces speak to the human condition?
Okay.
Mainly focused on the people, or the obsession with the items, or do you think it's more of a relationship in using them and how we interact with people?
Okay. So I'd say it's more of like this obsession. It's more of mostly the obsession with the self-help, the obsession with we need this to keep up. We need the obsession of wanting to like buy things so you feel better about yourself. It's very like compulsive. Like it's like there's just sometimes when you're at the store, there's just so many options, and it's like all these different things, and you're telling them this, and then now we have online reviews, we have videos of kids on YouTube telling us, like, giving reviews, unboxing things. It's like almost like an overload.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like we are so obsessed like with these things, and as much as, you know, you want to be like aware and like, oh well, you know, I'm helping and or whatever it is, it's like it's always there and it is a part of your life. So it's like it is definitely I'm really interested in how just the obsession with everybody's like, you have, you know, stay mentally healthy, be happy, be comfortable, be this, be that. Like, it's just like all these things like being like programmed in, and like, I know not all of them are bad, but it's like, I think that I just want people to feel aware, like you can almost like step outside of the box and kind of like realize like, okay, like first off, maybe not everything I read is true. Reviews could be done by like, it you know, it could all be fake. It could just be the companies writing reviews under different people's names, telling you these things. And it's like, I want people to sort of like, they step into the weird reality that I've created, and then in hopes that when they leave, maybe they're viewing their world a little differently. They're sort of like, yeah, you know, like they're stepping in and they're like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, why is everything like at my fingertips? But it's like, that's what we're going for. Like, think of it now, we have, you know, Uber Eats and Grubhub. It's like, you don't even have to call somebody. You can just order on your phone, like, and have food, you can have anything delivered to you. And I'm kind of like anti like Grubhub and stuff, just because, I just am, because I know that it rips off restaurants and the people that work for them. But that's a whole other thing. But anyways, it's just weird to see like my cousins and stuff that are like the younger generation that have always grown up with having the iPhone. Oh, yeah. Just how quick they are to be like, oh, well, you know, just order it online and they'll deliver it to you. Like you can order your coffee and have it delivered to your doorstep. And I'm just the kind of person, I'll just go get it myself. Like, I really, like, I have to be, like, physically ill or my car's broken down to use those sort of things. And it's just it's interesting to me to see how many people rely on it. and especially younger people. And like, so when people go into the installation, I hope that it makes them maybe question like things. And like, I'm definitely an experienced person. Like, this, all of the contactlessness, and it's sort of like this, it's like a selling point now, like contactless this, contactless that, distance. And that's great, especially right now, because you want to be safe, but it's like kind of annoying at the same time. It's like, okay, so what, are we just going to go switch all online forever? Like, no, I'm an experienced person. I want people to feel. So maybe when they're in the weird room where everything's there for them, and like, even it's like when I get to making the kitchen portion of it, it's like all these things. Maybe I'll make a window, and this is where your Grubhub could just like reach in and it's there. Like, I don't know yet. I haven't made use, but I just think it's important to think about these things. Like, when does all this online digital stuff sort of replace the nostalgia of like these, like the real object or like experience or what it means. So yeah, and we're obsessed with it. Like, I think people will buy anything if it has the right reviews, the right celebrity endorses it. Like, it's a thing. It's like
I understand what you're saying, maybe more than most. I have an obsession with VHS tapes. I have a large collection because I love the experience of putting in the tape, tracking on the VCR.
Yeah.
Like, I want the previews at the beginning of movies. It's an experience, and it's taking time to enjoy something that you want. When, yeah, most of the movies that I ever watch, I could easily find on Netflix. I could easily
Yeah,
find,
you could.
like that.
It is. It's like a thing, and it's like something even too, just listening, like having it play and like hearing all the clicks, and you're like, oh, my tape might not work or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it makes it fun. Like, I don't know. And I watch VHS sometimes too. I had to buy a few of them at a flea market before I finally got one that actually worked good. But it's like that memory, like Blockbuster. You had to go to a store to rent a movie, and you had to bring it back. You couldn't just pay a certain amount a month through your debit card, and you could stream whatever you want instantly through your Xbox.
2 movies.
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. And yeah, it's like, and then now too, even going to the movie theater is sort of going out. Like, and I hate that. Like, I love the movie theater. I don't know. I mean, there's always like the annoying thing, like a kid like kicking your seat or people talking, but I just feel like that is part of the experience, and it's like, it's something to do. It's like, I don't want to be like locked in my house all day streaming. Now, not to say that I don't like watch like X-Files and use Hulu.
Yeah.
And I work in the movie industry. I just like the idea of like, I don't know, it's like, it's nice to kind of know that these things are like still there. Like, you can touch the tape, it takes up space. It's not like a memory drive where you don't pay your bill and then all of a sudden you lose all your stuff. I have no idea. Like, yeah, I think that I wonder if maybe someday VHS will come back, but I still buy them. Like, when I went back to Ohio, I was so sad because I actually used to make installation art out of VHSs, and I would actually like take the shitty movies and I would unwind all the tape and make these huge like masses of sort of like, almost like these like past home movies or something, like floating above and encapsulating you. But there was a store called Buybacks in Ohio that I would go to, and I was so sad when I came back and it was shut down. I was like, oh, if I ever have to make one of those, that like, I got so many 20-cent tapes there. Like, I bought them all out. Like, and I drove by with my mom. I was like, they closed it. How am I supposed to, like, so now when I'm at the thrift store, it's certain thrift stores, if they're really cheap, I'll buy them, or flea markets. But yeah, it's like, I mean, obviously there's tons and tons of the stuff that exists, but I don't know. It's cool. I just like all that old technology stuff. It's right. It's an experience.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, thank you so much for, really giving a lot of insight into this exhibition. For our viewers, if you have not experienced this yet, please, there is still some time. It closes at the end of our open hours today. So if you have not experienced it yet and you want to, come on by. We will make room. We will let you in, even if you come at 3:01. We want you to experience this. Now, Holly, as you said, this is your second time showing in 934, correct?
Yes.
And do you remember what year you showed your first?
So I think it was 2016.
Okay. Well, like within almost our first year.
Yeah, I think it's 2016. I don't think it would have. Yeah, I think it would have had to been 2016, like early. It was like summer, because it was before I went to Sculpture Space. So, or maybe it was 2015. No, because that was your graduate. Yeah, 2016.
Okay.
So I had a solo show, and it was called Vapid Conventionalities. And this was sort of the work that I was making, like, right when I got out of art school. Like, I'm just getting my gallery going. I have my new studio. I'm not, like, at the university. Like, it's not art school anymore. It's just, like, it's all my own time. So I sort of, like, it's similar. It's like, I call it, they're almost like the babies of, like, the work that I do now. They're sort of like one of them, it's like hair dryers and like shower heads, but they were like these masses, like they're like floating like masses of like tools. One of them was like, I think it's called interlaced transmission, and it was all these vintage phones and wires just sort of like connected together in this big ball knot, and like antennas sticking out of it. So kind of like Sputnik, but maybe like a little less refined. It was sort of just like a mass. And in like another one, there was one, it's funny, I was doing a lot of, like, while I was running my gallery, I was working in the restaurant industry just for like to pay bills. And there's all these funny experiences, but my favorite was they would write us comic cards at the place I worked, and this lady was like so mean, and she just hated everything. But they, on the comic card, she wrote "Water Girl was great," and I was Water Girl, so like I almost like made this piece and I titled it "Water Girl was great" as like a spoof on her comic card, because I just was like, that is so funny. As this lady like was like torturing me for like an hour with her requests, but she had her water, right?
Yeah.
So it was almost like this machine that's like, it's like leaning over, and it's made of all these old tray stands, and like it's got like it's like serving almost, and like it was supposed to almost be like me like going to all these different places like trying to like help. And so yeah, there's that. And then I did some like wall pieces. I'm like, I don't know why it's really hard for me to make like art that's like wall art. I guess the one that you're probably looking at right now is kind of like a wall piece, but it's different. Like I was kind of like doing these like almost like 3D, like it was like 3D, but it was like a 2D collage that would like attach to the wall. Not really sure like conceptually what I was thinking with those as much as more as just kind of like playing around with like what I can connect, and like there were like vents and like polyurethane and paint, so that it was like definitely not as refined as my work is now, but it was a really great experience to sort of have a solo show right out of school, and it's getting me to, because everybody like has that, no, not everyone, I hate to categorize everybody. Some people have the thing, like you get out of school and you're like, what the hell do I do now? Like what am I making art for? What is this? Like, do people even still make art when they graduate college? So it was exciting for me to have the opportunity at 934. I was like, I'm getting my own solo show in my hometown. Like, this is so cool. And I got to use the gallery. So, I think that they're almost like the seedlings of like what the work has become now with like the full apartment. but it was just not as like organized and refined. It was more just like this. I'm like, so I'm not at art school anymore. I'm not at Syracuse with all the fancy machines and project based. It's kind of like I get to do whatever I want with what I have. And it was, a lot of it is like, you know, bolting things together, and like it, and then it's like, I've always kind of had this whole sort of like, you know, this noise, like signal thing with my work. But yeah, it was different. It was a great show for anybody. If anybody remembers it, I would love to hear any comments. I know that, oh, and also it was really interesting. There was this fashion show that they did that like kind of correlated along with the art show I did, the Vapid Conventionalities. A fashion designer, I believe her name was Agape Pennyworth or Pennywealth. She did like, she made like fashion out of like junk, and it like these, they dressed these people, these actors and actresses, and they came in and were like interacting with my sculptures, dressed up in like recycled trash like outfits. So I was so mad because I wasn't able to come to the event, but my mom went and took videos and pictures for me, and it was so amazing. And I loved that to work with somebody I'd never met before, and for her to be inspired by what I was doing, to bounce off of her work, and then to create this whole experience was really exciting. And when you know, when things get back to normal, that's definitely something I would be interested in doing, is like having, I like the idea of like, you know, kind of like having characters in the space, like, you know, like whether it be me or an exhibition I did in New York City one time, with it, I had the bed with it too. This lady, I like provided outfits for the people to wear because they like work, it was in their apartment and they worked from home, and everybody could see through in their living room where my installation was, like in their apartment. So I like brought all these vintage outfits. I got them like dry cleaned and stuff, and they would like wear them as they were working from home, as to like kind of like confuse people, and they're like, what is this, like?
Well, I think you actually answered a question that I was going to ask, is your integration of performance art into it. You said that you didn't initially intend for the bed to hold a person, but once you started making it, you were like, well, why not
Yeah.
hold a person? And I was going to ask if, yeah, that was something that you were, you know, considering as you continue to grow it out, if performance art was going to be a part of it.
So I guess I need to get over my little like sort of like being on the spot kind of thing. And I've done, like, I so for that Highline show, I did a little performance. Like I went up there for a day, I dressed up, and like I hung out in the bed, and like me and a friend of mine, we're like pretending like we're like calling people through the sculptures like out to the Highline.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what is going on here? Now, me personally performing, I guess I'm just not, I wouldn't say I'm like the best performer. I get like really anxious on the spot. So I think it's better, like, you know, I like to do my thing and then have the actresses come in, and or the actors, and do their whatever. But I do used to do like, I used to make these videos of myself like doing like mundane tasks in strange environments. And then I would like make installations where like I would like have these videos, and like some of them would be like me doing well, there's like one where I have this little retro vacuum, and my friend had this house he was remodeling, so like the place was crazy inside. It was like whoever lived there like probably didn't clean a lot. Like all these things were like falling, like dust and whatever. And so the whole video is me in this like 1950s dress that's like really like bright and colorful, like I'm going to some fancy brunch, and I'm just vacuuming the whole video. And then maybe like one part of the video I like take like a fridge door and I like walk out. And so I think it's like I'm better, like I'm not totally close to performance. I think I like to have it more better like pre-recorded, and then maybe project myself up on a screen.
Gotcha.
Because then there's like another one too where I have like, I found this vintage shaver, and it was called like Remington Princess.
Yeah.
So the whole video is like me just like trying to figure out how to use this shaver, and then I like it didn't really work because it was really old and dull, but like then I'm like just like shaving my legs. It's like so stupid, but it's like kind of weird. I don't know. It was like some stuff I was experimenting with in art school. But yeah, I'm always open to that, especially now. Like I feel like this whole it's been going on forever. People like to see other people and people like to record themselves. So like some of my pieces, well, it sucks. The one that was like that, I didn't end up bringing it because it didn't fit in my car. But it's like they'll have like a selfie ball, and so I like people to like go up, and I think it's funny when people go up and they like take pictures of themselves in my art, or like even my cousins came to look at the exhibition, and her friends did like a whole little photo shoot with like all the mirrors and stuff. I was like, that's cool. Like it's definitely playing into that like sort of like obsessiveness part of it, and and I love that the younger generation just came in and like did that. It was like it's like I think it's working, at least for what I wanted to do, in that way.
No, your last exhibition did speak to the relationship between people and their objects, and that has been a theme that has grown from that exhibition to this one. How do you feel that you have refined it or grown upon that theme over the last 4 years?
So over the last 4 years, I guess that exhibition was my first sort of like main solo show out of art school. And I used to be like, during when I was in college, I was, I guess we're always all kind of all over the place because we're learning. So I was more into like these like creating like portals and like other dimensions, and like static electricity, like lots of television stacked on each other, which is like its own thing. But I was like, just felt myself wanting to, but like it was, I guess now the artwork, it's taking all these machines that I create, quote unquote machines, because they don't actually work, but and then now it's becoming more of like an installation, because I'm trying to make it feel more like somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want it to be like more experience, whereas the ones before at 934, it was more just, this interesting object that's saying this thing, but it's also just on a pedestal. It wasn't super cohesive.
Gotcha.
Like it was kind of like going for the theme, but now it's sort of like this whole like the self-care movement of like all these things, advertisements being in your face constantly. You have to keep up with this. If you don't post that, you're silent, or you're not, like, well, what's wrong with her? It's like you have to be caught up in the algorithm of it all. And it's like, I feel like the work now is sort of getting to the point where when I finally complete everything and have my kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, closet, all that stuff, it's like I would love for it to almost be like this like set, or like a house where there people are like going through. And like when I went to like MoMA PS1, I saw this artist Mike Kelly, and you're kind of like, it's like not totally installation, but then parts of it are, and it's like you're going through his retrospective of like, you're sort of like being pulled by all these different emotions. So yeah, it's definitely just, it's always, I feel like I'm never finished with a sculpture. I might even, those pieces I showed at 934 in that time, I actually like, there's a couple of them I wouldn't mind showing again. They might end up in the final Attractive Nuisances part 10 or whatever, whenever it's completely finished. But yeah, it's definitely it's just growing into be like more installation. Like I was really into installation in college, but it was more like I would create like huge physical structures, and they would be like, you're like entering into a world. But now it's like the gallery space is my world. The gallery space is my bedroom. It is my bathroom or whatever. And it's like they know they're in a gallery, but are they? But they don't feel like they're in a gallery. Is like the eventual like sort of a feeling that I wanted to have. And then you leave, and you're like, wait a minute, I am in this whatever MoMA or wherever you're at, wherever it happens to be.
Well, if you don't fully complete the Attractive Nuisances Part 10 here at 934, please let us know where you show that, when you show that, whatever year, month,
Yeah.
because we want to follow that along and see the evolution, because
Yeah.
I mean, this has been just a powerful exhibition for us, for our guests, and we know that there is a lot of soul, a lot of like being that encapsulates all this, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
so
good.
much for giving us some insight into Attractive Nuisances, as well as your previous exhibition, and seeing how you have grown as an artist, and what you hope to do with this body and how it will grow. One thing that I did want to talk about, and it's one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to do this artist talk. I mean, first off, I love your exhibition, and it really resonates with me. But you are also a gallery director as well. And I kind of wanted just to learn a little bit more about your space. Like, what really drove you to do your own space once you graduated from Syracuse?
So, the one of the big motivators was I knew in art school I just had tons of stuff. I was making like larger scale work, and I had to have a studio. It's just like the kind of work I do, like I can't be doing it in my kitchen. It's not like painters, you know, you guys got it so easy. Just kidding. You can just set up your painting or whatever, and then you can work there and open a window. Like I'm like grinding metal and like cutting fridge doors in half with angle grinders and just weird stuff, you know. So I knew I had to have a space. Me and my friend Allison that started the space with me, when we were in art school, she also made large work like I did. One of our things to graduate was we had to have a solo thesis show. And we as students were responsible to find a place to host the show. We had to do everything ourselves. We had to advertise it. We had to make an event. It was like this whole ordeal. And in my area, it was like there was really only a few places. There was like a place called Spark, which was the one that everybody showed at, and it was really hard to get into because it was more like group shows, and like it was just not ideal. And then like other places, they were like, one place they were like, oh, well, you know, I don't want you scratching my floors with your sculptures. And I was like, well, that's a no-go. Yeah. So it was just sort of like this frustration of trying to find a place to show. And I'm like, there really isn't a space where people can just be creative at an affordable price.
Yeah.
So that sort of spurred the idea. And so my mom and I and Allison, we were looking, trying to find a place for a studio. And we found this place on Craigslist, actually, and we just saw the potential. And so now, after 6 months of remodeling and doing all this stuff, we it was a lot of work. I have a couple before pictures, but it was crazy. It was just like an old shop. There was like nasty carpeted countertops. Like it was horrible. It was like,
So
straight from the 80s, but bad 80s.
Did you do the remodeling while you were also preparing your thesis show?
No, this was after. So I did find a place to do my thesis show.
Because I was going to say, that is beyond remarked.
Yeah, no way. So when I did my thesis show, I didn't sleep for like a month straight. Yeah. But I ended up finding a place. This artist here, he was like opening this new building, and he was very nice and let me do my installation there. And it was called Bathtub Electrocution. was my thesis show.
I love that.
Yeah, it was a good one. Anyways, yeah, so that's sort of just that frustration of like it probably took me like, you know, a few weeks to find what I wanted. And it was like, I mean, I was really lucky. The guy, he didn't really charge me. I think I gave him like $100, but I had to get my crap out of there like the day after, and I hadn't slept for like ever. It was intense, but it was all part of the thing. So me and Allison were like, we had an idea. We were like, what if we change the front part of the space into like a New York City gallery? We can provide a new space for students like we were and local artists to show their work, because there's just not a lot of places that do that. I also grew up going to like a lot of like house shows and like artsy bars. Like I used to go to like Cara Bar and like all that fun stuff in Columbus. When I was, you know, when I was like 18 and whatever. So I wanted like a space too where people could just have fun, like, you know, like, so it's almost like I am an art gallery, but now that I run it by myself, it's sort of like this zone where it's a do-it-yourself creative space. So we used to do like dance parties. This girl I met here in Syracuse, she wanted to start doing monthly dance parties called Dreamland, where this DJ would come and we would like, she like transformed the space into like, we did like a space galaxy dance party. We did like a gypsy psychic party. And her first one, her and her friends, they like created these clouds and we had like this wall. It was really cool. And I like put out some of my art. It was just like sort of like this weird like art happening almost.
Yeah. You
know, like I know it's like little art history speak for people that like they would have like the art happenings. It's like this event where you're like what is this? You know, it's very like, I don't know. I like to remain like just a little unofficial just for now. I'm like, I've had before pre-coronavirus, I would do like indie shows, music. So like there's the one place actually shut down, Spark, the one that was doing music and all kinds of stuff for years and years here in Syracuse, but they got bought out, you know, to be turned into, I think it's probably going to end up being turned into like fancy student housing or something. I don't know. So I just want that spirit to remain live here. Like there's a very strong artist community of like people just want like things to happen, like whether it be some random locals that just so happen to be artists and work all around here and they want to have like a Christmas show, or their friends from New York City that do like crazy graffiti art on like cardboard. And then it's just like, I'm always open. And then like too, I love when I get like, you know, grad students or sculpture students that want to do an intricate installation and like they need the space for a whole week. That was another thing that was really hard for me looking for a space, was it takes me time to get my stuff together. It's not just like, oh, will you drop off your paintings here and the art installer hangs it for you. I'm like building this stuff, putting it together, moving it, like it's crazy. Like you need like, sometimes like back when I used to make, I feel like I was very, I was like, I had to be really big art in art school. I don't know why, but it was a like pain in the ass. Like you gotta like do all of that yourself and it takes time. And so like I'll give like special deals for the gallery for like artists that want to use the space, like because they have to, takes them a long time to install what they're doing, you know. Like I try to be understanding and like, because I get it. Like I know that, you know, not everybody might not have all the funds, but they want to see this idea happen. And like, you know, with the dance parties we did, it was really cool. Now that the parties got so big, they actually outgrew Apostrophe S, and now it has to be like a space like triple the size. So I also like to be that sort of bridge for people to, maybe they've never had an art show and they need guidance like that. Like I can provide that. You know, I had a girl, she wanted to like surprise her boyfriend and like throw him his own art show because he was like never confident. He wasn't as confident about his art or too busy to deal with it. So she did that, and then we like surprised, like I helped her hang half of it. And then he came in and saw it and then like recreated it himself. So it's sort of like, I just want it to be like a space where people can do whatever they want. And then when people aren't using it, then I can do whatever I want with it. It's like an extension of the studio. And then it gets even crazier. So, like, 1 week there might be like a metal show.
Yeah.
And then the next week there's a girl doing like meditative sound baths with like like the rain chimes, and I forget what they're called, the crystal things. It's all like very relaxing, like almost like a like kind of like a yoga type thing. And that's just, it's crazy to me. I'm like, I love that the space can go from metal punk show to installation to a girl like doing like relaxing like sound therapy. It's just it's like creative.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when obviously, like, I feel very much a kinship to what you're saying, having 934, because we share very much a similar mission in regard to having a space for things that may not go in other galleries. I mean, that's why I'm super excited to be able to show this installation, because in your traditional commercial gallery, it might not be the right fit.
Yeah, maybe not like on the high street gallery hop. That's probably not what you're seeing. Like,
no, it's not.
you never know. Now, if you're in Manhattan, maybe, but then still, there's always going to be those artists where it's like, not to say it's bad art, but it's like just the big paintings with like color and whatever. Everybody has their thing, but it's just, I get really excited when people want to like really commit and try something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially if it's a student, because I feel like that was me my senior year. I was like, what's like the craziest like thing I can do? Like, this has got to be the best show ever. And you'd be surprised. You're saying what you want, and the people look at you like you're insane. And I'm like, this is supposed to be an art gallery, like. So
there's a surprising amount of restrictions that happen in other galleries.
Yeah, and it's like, no, and it's just some people think, like me, I didn't realize all this craziness could be sculpture until I went to art school, and I was like, wow, it can really be anything. So I love when I tell people that don't know me, like, what I do. It's like, sometimes it's very surprising. They're like, wow, like, that is not what I expected, but hell yeah. And I just want to provide a space for my community. Also, like, the landlord, I'm eventually going to buy this space myself, but the landlord, he was almost like skeptical when me and my friend were trying to get it. He was like very cautious. He's like, oh, well, how do I know you guys are going to pay your rent? You're like right out of school. Like, what's your idea? I've got all these calls. Like, it was going to become a corner store or like a shitty pizza shop. And the neighborhood I live in, that's not what it needs. Like, there's already a shitty corner store down the street, and there's, it's not the best activity going there all the time. It's like I feel like my space makes the neighborhood better. Now, I might piss off my neighbors sometimes with the loud music, but it's better than like a corner store with like crime and stuff. I don't know, or like people in and out all night. Like, it's kind of sad. Like, the area I live in, it's like on the edge of a very, very nice neighborhood, and then what people would call like a bad neighborhood, even though I don't think it's bad at all. I've felt very comfortable living here. I've never had any issues. And there's a lot of businesses around me that are like, it's just empty storefronts and stuff. And I just like hope that it just makes it better. Like, I like to remain that space where, people can feel creative and not feel restricted, or like, and I also try to keep it reasonable price wise, unless like, obviously, things are changing now with this COVID stuff, but I'll figure it out. But I like to make it remain affordable and work with artists, because I know that sometimes by like somebody, having that chance, it can really like help them grow to like do better things. And I would like to like, provide that for people if they are willing to participate and like use the space properly. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So your hopes are and your plans are to purchase this space. Is Apostrophe S always going to be a Syracuse thing? Is it location specific?
I think that the location is specific. I guess at least for the name. If I was to open a studio somewhere else someday, that I would maybe name it something different. I feel like it was like the legacy of like that was the name that me and my friend at the time came up with. The S's for Syracuse were apostrophes, apostrophe S, where we include everybody in a round. Like it's supposed to be like, like you're like, it includes like everyone, I guess. I forget the girl I opened the space with, she was like a dual language major or something. So I forget what we had this whole thing and it's just been so long. I'm like, it's a good name. So, but I guess as far as like purchasing it, I've put so much time and effort into it at this point, and it's a really cool space. And I would hate to see somebody else use it and let it die. So I feel like by me, since I've already put so much money and time into it, I figure why not buy it and make it my own. And there's apartments upstairs. And then if I ever want to move out, then it can become this space to pass on to students or other creative people. But I'll still be in charge. But then they can do what I do now when I'm old and don't feel like doing it anymore, But then it can still be like there. Like it's like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm so attached to it, like I don't like I've put so much time into it. It's like I should have been honestly trying to buy it like for the last 2 years. I just didn't know what I was doing with my life completely yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm realizing that I think that that's the way I'm going to go about it. Now that could change, but I mean that's the goal as of now. And I think that it can be, once I get myself stabilized, I think it can be way nicer than what it already is. Like there's a whole basement, and right now it's just full of my crap, my arts. I hate to call it crap, my collections.
Oh.
But I would love to get it remodeled and be like a screen printing studio down there or something, or like some sort of other like. It's like honestly, it's kind of dead space, and if it was remodeled, it could be, or what. I could fill it with pinball machines. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like just something. Like, it's just dead space. But I just need to, get myself. They don't teach you that in high school or art school on how to, like, buy a place and manage your money and real estate and all that. You don't, like, learn that. So I'm trying to educate myself so then I could really make it even better than what it is now. Like, right now, it's like, I've always felt like it's, like, been sort of, like, almost, like, my side project because my art always comes first for me. And yeah, it could be way nicer, like it's right now it's sort of like become my, like through quarantine, it's just my studio. But eventually when the world is normal again, I'm hoping that like I want to get the ball rolling and get this stuff like ready to go nicer. I want like outside garden thing where people can go outside and hang out instead of disturbing my neighbors, because my neighbors on the left side are kind of annoying. So it's like I can have the cool little like shaded zone, and then that will like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The ideas are endless. I just need like money. So, and time.
Absolutely.
I want it to live on because I would hate to see it become a corner store, and like that would just make me so sad. Like, or a shitty pizza shop. Like we already have one that like opens and closes. Like I don't think, like, no, like I don't want that.
I'm really excited to see your growth with this space. While we have you, can you give us a little like walk around of your studio?
Yes. So this is Well, here, we'll start at the front. Now, bear with me. It's really messy in here because the studio has sort of come out into the gallery. So this is the gallery space. You know, usually this would be all clean and beautiful with like, you know, all crisp white walls. You can see the floors. That was all floors we put in. It was originally carpeted. Now look above, you see the beautiful silver ceiling.
Oh
Let me
yeah.
just walk back in here and show you. This is what the ceiling looked like before. This is what the ceiling looked like before that. So this was like the worst thing I've ever done in my life. So you see how it's all nasty?
Oh wow.
So that is what it looked like when Allison and I moved in.
You restored that?
So yeah, we had to get up there and chip out all that paint. And then we bought this special paint that was like dumb expensive and painted over it so it would seal it and not peel anymore. And then we took Rust-Oleum and refinished the whole ceiling. And then she actually designed, she was really into CAD and stuff. She designed these faucets here, like these metal pieces.
Yeah.
And we created those. So then that way, because it's kind of silly, I can't have the tin ceiling all the way. So in this backspace over, oh, it's really bright. This backspace over here, it's drop ceiling. I couldn't expose the whole tin ceiling because I guess there was like a bad water leak over here and it's all like ripped out. So I had to keep some of the drop ceiling. But I mean, it works. So you can I've got this little like, all my little projects out right now. But yeah, so like, you know, you could like, say there was a show, there'd be like a band right here, people hanging out. There's some of the stuff that I have set up in here. This is like the stuff that I didn't finish in time to bring to 934. And actually it probably wouldn't have fit. There's like, that's cool, right? Windows, especially at night, like say like there's not open hours, but people can walk out of the park across the street, they can look in the window, you know, at the beginning, and I had sort of like a walk by art show, like people could walk by and like see me working or whatever. There are just more tables and stuff. I got a lot of junk. Here's my satellite dishes.
Oh, that's a great space.
Yeah, and then like here, like this is, so all these like, this all came because it was a framing shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got all these cool places to store my wood and stuff.
Oh, nice.
I have this, I really need to clean out my sink, but yeah, I got a slop sink. This is my like tool room. I'm not gonna go in the basement because there's a whole basement. It's cool. I mean, eventually I want a bathroom installed up here. It's kind of frustrating when I have events that people got to go all the way downstairs to go to the bathroom, but that's why I want to get the studio finished. I mean, get the basement remodeled, so then like that could all eventually become more studio space for me as well, and just give like more room, you know.
That'll be great.
And I live upstairs, so that's cool.
So for our viewers, can they follow what's going on at Apostrophe S on Facebook and Instagram?
Yes, I have an Instagram page and a Facebook. I can send you the links for those. I'm kind of taking a hiatus right now, just because I'm nervous about, it's very strict here in New York, and it's just, to me, it's not worth, you know, getting in trouble or whatever. So right now it's just my space, like my own personal thing, but like once I'm finished with this current job I'm working on and things, I'm hoping to have it back open to the public. I've got some people asking about it, so it will be getting updated again soon. So if you end up following the gallery on Instagram or Facebook and you don't see a lot of posts, don't fear. It's just I'm just taking a break, you know? Like it's not, we're not going away. We're just not doing stuff right now.
Absolutely.
But there are a couple artists that have talked to me, so there will be things at some point when I have time to get it all ready and clean. You saw it in the walkthrough. I need to clean my, and then I'm gonna have to bring all the stuff back here, so I've got a lot of work to do.
So for our viewers who want to follow your stuff specifically, could you give us your Instagram, your website? Tell us where they can find your stuff.
So the best place to look at my work is my website. It's www.amorphousnoise.com. And I should probably write that down. It's AM. Hold on, I have to write it down or else I won't be able to spell it because I'm like that.
We'll absolutely include it in the notes in this
video.
video.
Oh, okay, yeah, just do that. That'll be easy. Okay. So then my Instagram name, so I was silly and I didn't realize on my cards I left at the gallery, I changed my Instagram name because I felt like I was being watched in quarantine. I went through this like social media like freak out thing. So my new Instagram name is Deranged Machine. So yeah, you can follow me on there. It's got pictures of art, weird things in my life, stuff like that. And yeah, but honestly, if you want to look at my work, the best place is my website because it's all explained on there. Sometime I am going to be totally reconfiguring the whole website, so it's going to be even better and easier to navigate. I don't really post much to Facebook. It's more like personal stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you want to contact me though, like, or ask me any questions, I'm really easy to reach on Instagram. I'm a little slow with emails just because if I don't, sometimes I just read them and then they get lost in the million emails I get from like stores and stuff. So yeah. Definitely Instagram is probably the best way to reach me if you want to ask further questions or inquire about my work further.
Awesome. Well, is there any last words that you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Well, I would just, if you haven't seen the show yet, you should go out and go look at it. Go check out the installation. There's other exhibitions going on as well at 934, the murals, the weather's still good. Go experience it, like, that's all I gotta say. It's not, like, worst comes to worst, you might just have to wait a couple minutes while someone else is in there, and then you can go in the gallery and look at this stuff and, like, let's support our galleries and venues and places because there's a lot of people behind the scenes trying to keep stuff still going, and it's important that I think it's important that people look at art and experience things and get off, just remember that all this drama that's going on around us isn't everything, that there's still amazing things out there and you can go experience them. And you should, because you just never know what's going to happen now. So you got to live it.
Well, you can still view this exhibition up until Saturday, September 19th, from 12 to 3. Those will be the last open hours that Attractive Nuisances will be available. And that would actually be a great time to stop by the gallery. That is going to be our opening reception for our 2020-2021 Outdoor Gallery Annual Exhibition, which will have over 32 brand new murals all across the 934 campus for you to check out. And you can book your appointments at 934gallery.org. Inside the gallery, we are capping it at a max of 10 guests at a time. And all guests are asked to wear face coverings. And we have some provided if you do not have one. So still time to check it out. Also, side note, next Saturday, September 12th, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., we have 934 Fest 2020. This year, because of the COVID pandemic, we are all virtual. So from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., you can stream live music, comedy, spoken word, behind the scenes mural making, interviews with the artists, interviews with the musicians, and a whole lot more. And that can all be found on 934fest.org. You can also follow 934fest on Facebook and Instagram. And for 934 Gallery, I'd like to thank Holly Wilson for joining us today. And I'm Johnny Riddle. And for all of 934 Gallery, thank you, viewers, for tuning in. If you liked this content and you'd like to see more of it, please consider making a gift to the gallery. Again, we are an all-volunteer, not-for-profit art gallery, and we can't stay open without the support of our donors, our patrons, and the community. So thank you so much, and we'll see you at the gallery.
Thanks. Bye.